It's my favorite segment of the week. It's the Commanders Report mailbag here, where I get to answer your questions on the burgundy and gold. Before we get into it today, make sure you click that subscribe button to join the most interactive fan community for Commanders fans anywhere on YouTube. We try to really do a good job being engaging for you guys, giving you weigh-in questions every single show. Of course, so you guys can get that conversation going in the comment section. We got daily live polls on the channel as well in our poll section there. And then also we go live every single Wednesday starting at 5 p.m. Eastern, where we do these mailbags, and you get your questions on the weekly mailbag. So if you want to join us for our live show so you can get a question on a future Commanders Report mailbag, you guys can click that subscribe button and join us on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll start with DJ KJ with a $5 super chat. Says, will there be any trades between the Steelers and Commanders? Also, how many wins will the Commanders have this year? So right now, there's a lot of Commanders fans that, see T.J.Watt is not at Steelers mandatory minicamp and saying, let's trade for T.J.Watt. And then on the flip side, there's a lot of Steelers fans that are saying, Terry McLaurin, not at Commanders minicamp. Let's trade for him because they need a receiver. And it's true. The Commanders need an edge rusher. Steelers need a wide receiver to pair with DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers. But listen, man, I just don't see either of these teams trading these caliber of players to different teams. I think that the Commanders know that their wide receiver room, it's okay, but you take Terry McLaurin out of that mix, and it is nowhere near as good as it is right now. He is a true number one alpha wide receiver, a top 10 receiver in the game. The Commanders know they need him to legitimately compete for a Super Bowl. Plus, he had 13 touchdowns with Jayden Daniels last year. Doesn't make sense to break those two apart. Then with the Steelers, T.J.Watt has been the most valuable defensive player in football since he has entered the league. You just look at the Steelers' defensive numbers with him on the field versus off the field. Their win percentage when he's on the field versus off the field, it's astronomical. The Steelers are trying to win a Super Bowl this year on the one-year contract of Aaron Rodgers, and they know T.J.Watt needs to be on their team in order to compete for that. So, I don't see either team having any incentive to trade these players away. So at the end of the day, I don't think either team or these two teams come to a deal. Then we get to your boy, Football Elite. It says, now that Noah Brown had an apparent injury, who do you think could step up for wide receiver 3? So I'm recording this on Wednesday, June 11th. So this is going to come out probably on Sunday. So we will have an update on Noah Brown by the time this video comes out. We do not have the official injury designation at the time of me recording this video, just so you guys know. But my best guess here is that it didn't look good at practice. He was carted off the field on Wednesday's practice. So if he's out for the season or if it's a long time, I could see them potentially getting like Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper, guys that were former number one receivers that are veterans looking for work in the NFL this year, who haven't signed on to a team. And the Commanders are one of those teams where you got Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin hopefully on the team as well, Deebo Samuel. I would think that Allen and Cooper would love to be the third piece to this offense in this wide receiver group. But also you got guys like Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, who are younger players. Perhaps the Commanders feel like one of those guys or both of them are ready to step up in Noah Brown's absence. Now, it's very possible that by the time this comes out, we hear that Noah Brown is fine and there's no issue, and he's going to be back in time for the season, and they're not going to look at getting a guy like Allen or Cooper or anything like that. But it's definitely going to be an interesting situation. Got ZX here. Says Kliff Kingsbury is known for having a mid-season drop-off. Do you think it will happen again, even though he adjusted last season? Anything's possible. Kliff's, I was very impressed with Kliff last year, guys. He did a lot of things last year that he didn't do in previous seasons. He got more creative with multiple people in the backfield. He did some very interesting stuff in the quarterback run game and in the wide receiver screen game. That was new for him that we didn't see at Texas Tech or at Arizona when he was the head coach there. And then, there was a midseason drop-off last year, and then they finished the season super strong. So that's, with Kliff Kingsbury, I think that his kind of ideal role is to be an offensive coordinator. Because I think when you're a head coach and you try to be an offensive play caller at the same time, an offensive game plan designer, it's just a whole lot. You have to manage the roster. You have to manage personalities. There's a lot of different responsibilities to being a head coach versus as an offensive coordinator, it's just ball. You just focus on putting your players in the best position to succeed. And last year, I thought there was a little bit of a drop-off, but then, he adjusted. And that's something we haven't really seen from Kliff Kingsbury throughout the course of his play-calling career. So that was very encouraging to see. I have all the confidence in the world in Kliff Kingsbury heading into this year's EX. Now it's time to be honest with me down there in the comments section. What is your confidence level in Kliff Kingsbury as this team's OC? On a scale of 1, meaning not confident at all, he's going to suck, to 10 being he's going to, be the best offensive coordinator in Commanders history. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section for today's pinned question. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time. But let me know your confidence level in Coach Kliff. Going from Fantastic Fun 21 says, should the Commanders make a push for Jaire Alexander? The answer to the question, Fantastic, is no. I was actually on board trading for Jaire Alexander before the draft. I thought that it would have been a perfect situation to trade a 4th-round pick or something like that for Alexander. But the Packers end up just letting him go. But now the Commanders already added at the position, and Trey Amos, who's looking great during mandatory minicamp. By the way, Jonathan Jones, the depth outside corner, is looking good too. So there's just really no reason to bring in Jaire Alexander. You traded for Marshawn Lattimore. You spent a high draft pick on Trey Amos, and then you spent a high draft pick on Mike Sainristil last year. So those are some pretty big assets that you have thrown in the direction of the cornerback position. And I think Alexander probably wants to get paid more than the Commanders are going to be willing to pay him. So I don't think there's much of a chance Alexander lands here in Washington. And who knows, maybe he's signed somewhere by the time this video comes out. Then we got one from Pokey Chaser. It says, will Deebo Samuel thrive with Jaden Daniels? Also, will Mike Sainristil move to the inside this year? So I think the right way to phrase it is Deebo Samuel will thrive in this Kliff Kingsbury offense because it's very unique, all right? You put multiple people in the backfield, orbit motions, jet sweeps, a ton of wide receiver screens early on early downs, and I think all that stuff fits Deebo Samuel's skill set to a T, all right? I also think, Jaden Daniels is really good at throwing intermediate dig routes when he's going through his progressions, and Deebo is a really good dig route runner. He doesn't have a very extensive route tree, but there are a few routes that he runs really well. The dig is one of them, and you get the ball to him out in space over that intermediate middle of the field. He's a freight train, and he can break off some incredibly explosive plays. So I think Deebo Samuel is a perfect fit for Kliff Kingsbury, and then I absolutely trust Jaden Daniels to get him the football in the correct way. So I think that's the right way to phrase it. Then Mike Sainristil will be moving back into the slot this year unless he's forced to move back outside. Let's say Amos gets injured and Jonathan Jones gets injured or something like that. And you need an outside corner. Sainristil is probably the guy that would kick out there with Igbinoghene reassuming his spot in the slot. But for now, it looks like it's going to be Marshawn Lattimore, and then Jonathan Jones and Trey Amos are going to be battling it out during training camp for the number 2 starting spot, and then Sainristil will find his home in the nickel. Then we got Jasmine Gray here, says, I have a question for you, Jack. Will the Washington Commanders win the NFC East Division crown champions this year? Yes, they will, in my opinion. I think that the Eagles and Saquon Barkley in particular are ready for a regression. We saw it with the last several rushing leaders in the NFL, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey. They all regressed heavily after the year where they led the league in rushing yards. Running back is one of the more volatile positions in the NFL. And also Saquon Barkley is not only 28 and getting older, therefore more injury prone, but he has an injury history himself. I think the chances of Saquon getting injured this year are very, very high. And if that happens, even though they got a good offensive line, Jalen Hurts is a good, not elite quarterback, and their defense is legitimately really, really good with Vic Fangio, I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were last year. That's just me. I think the Commanders are on the rise. I think the Eagles are on the decline. I think the Commanders win the division this year. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are a real one, it is a free and easy way to help out our channel. So if you appreciate the content that we give to you guys for free on this channel and you want to help out the YouTube algorithm so that this video can reach as many Commanders fans as possible, click that thumbs up icon. I greatly appreciate it. Now, before we get to the rest of today's questions, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Fanatics, where you guys can get a Jaden Daniels jersey in your closet today. And let me tell you, this is a jersey that I think you can wear for the rest of your life. You can go to chatsports.com/Daniels to pick up your JD5 jersey today. You can get it in burgundy. You can get it in white. They got a bunch of different color options for you guys. And then also it helps out the channel. If you click our link, chatsports.com/Daniels, and you make a purchase, Fanatics sends us part of the proceeds. We greatly appreciate your guys' support, guys. So pick up your Jaden Daniels jersey today if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate you. All right, now we get to TWD Fan Comic, who says, as it stands right now, assuming we keep Terry McLaurin, Chiefs versus Commanders, what happens and why? So I'm guessing he's talking about a potential Super Bowl matchup here. In that scenario, I would probably lean Chiefs, all right? But I think the Commanders are absolutely a team that could win it. Jayden Daniels was one of the most clutch quarterbacks statistically ever in NFL history for a season last year. So he's got nerves of steel. So I don't think the moment will be too big for him. Obviously Dan Quinn's been to a Super Bowl before. Obviously it was in very unceremonious fashion where he had a 28-3 lead on the GOAT and Tom Brady came back on him with the Atlanta Falcons. But I absolutely think that would be a good matchup, Jayden Daniels versus Patrick Mahomes. We saw last year in the Super Bowl that trench play was super, super important. We saw that the reason why the Eagles were able to corral Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs is because they had an excellent elite defensive line and pass rush. I don't think the Commanders have that. I think the Chiefs will be able to put up points on the Commanders' defense. They're going to have Rashee Rice back, who is a very integral part of their system. They still got Isaiah Pacheco. I still think Kelsey's still there. They got Noah Gray, another good tight end. They got some good receivers there. It's going to be a tough beat for sure. The Chiefs are still a really good team, really good defense as well that throws a lot of interesting stuff at the opposing quarterbacks. I wouldn't count the Commanders out, but I do think if I had to bet my life on it, I think I'm probably going to go with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in that one. Then we got JD5, says, where would you rank our defense and offense for the coming year? I don't have a list of teams on me right now, but just speaking about offense, I would say, once again, a top 5 offense. They were pretty much a top 5 offense last year. I expect them to be top 5 again this year. Then defensively, they were below average, maybe cracking the top 20, but it really wasn't a remarkable group. I think this year they cracked the top 15, and they are an above average defense this year. And when you combine an elite offense with an above-average defense, that gives you a chance to win a Super Bowl and to win the division even over the Eagles. Got one from DJ KJ, says, do Commanders need to make a trade for a defensive player? I don't think they necessarily need to, but they would certainly want to, especially if it's a guy like Trey Hendrickson. Hendrickson is the type of presence that changes the dynamic for a defense because he gets a lot of attention, a lot of double teams. It opens up opportunities for everybody else on the defensive line, and it gives the Commanders an opportunity to get to the passer without having to get creative, without throwing exotic blitzes at the quarterback, without doing stunts in games that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. love to do. With Trey Hendrickson, you can just line up Trey on the outside and then let him go to work, and that's something that's a big-time value, especially late in the football game. And I think that he's the type of player that can elevate the defense from, like I said just a moment ago, I think they'll be an above-average defense this year. But if you get Trey Hendrickson, now we're talking about like top 10 level defense. Maybe, I don't know if they'd crack the top 5, but they would definitely be like a legitimately good NFL defense and get this team that much closer to winning a Super Bowl. I'll tell you guys this, all right? I predicted the Chiefs in that Super Bowl matchup. I think if you bring Trey Hendrickson here to Washington, they win the Super Bowl in that matchup. Tell me down there in the comments section, do the Commanders need to make a trade for a defensive player before the start of the season? Yes or no? I don't think they need to, but I think it would be a hell of a move if they did. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. That'll be it for today's edition of the Commanders Report Mailbag. Once again, another batch of really, really good questions. We do this mailbag every single week, so if you guys want to get in on the action in future weeks, click that subscribe button, join us. We really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And until next time, guys, hail to the Commanders.